All right, welcome. I'm just going to quickly go over. I'm not really going to go over it. Just a reminder: check the information up above on the top of the homepage for Tuesday. Nothing has changed, so nothing new to talk about. All right, so today we're going to be doing solving inequalities using addition and subtraction. Okay, very similar to what we did with solving equations back before break. Uh, All right, so before we begin the lesson, once again, for the warm-ups for here on out, I'm going to give you guys the answers. If you're happy with your results and you don't care to see how you don't care to see how I got the answer that I got, then you can go ahead and stop the video and then resume the lesson. Okay, so for number one, 16 and 25 hundredths. 2, 615 thousandths. 3, 10. 4, 6a plus 8. 5, 9. And then B. B is less than or equal to 5. And my graph would look like that. It's a very simple graph. I didn't put any other numbers. So if you're happy with your answers and you're ready to move on, before you go on, just real quick, let me go on to the next slide. So start thinking about this. A classroom should have no more than 22 students. A math classroom meets this requirement after two students transferred into the class. It still meets this requirement. Write an inequality that represents the situation. Solve it to find the possible number of students in the class before the students transferred. So very similar to activities 1 and 2 from yesterday in our practice journals. And activity 3 as well. So yeah, activity 1, 2, and 3. Very similar to that. So go ahead and start thinking about that. Write down your answers. You don't have to submit it or anything. Just kind of get your brain going. And then once you're finished with that, go ahead and review the notes and key idea or the vocabulary and key ideas, and then we'll start the lesson. All right. So let's go back. All right. So let's go over these answers. I'm going to show you guys how I did this. Once again, if you're ready to move on, go ahead and stop the video. Continue on with the lesson. All right. For those who want to stay with me, let's get this done. All right, so number one, I have 3 and 25 hundredths divided by 2/10. And I'm actually going to go ahead and write that as a division, so I'm going to try to get everything saved on this. And I may not have enough room. All right, so when I say write as a division, probably I mean build a house. So 325, 300, 3 and 2, 3 and 25 hundredths divided by 2/10. All right, so 3.25 is my dividend, and then 2/10 is actually my divisors. So divisor. So the divisor is going to go outside because I'm breaking up 3 and 25 hundredths into 2/10. So 2/10. And then 3 and 25 hundredths goes inside. All right, so remember when you're multiplying or dividing divisions, you got to get that divisor a whole number. All right, and so to get that divisor a whole number, I'm going to multiply it by 10. I just need to move it over one decimal spot. So basically, however many decimal spots you need to move it over to make it a whole just a whole number, you're multiplying by 10, 100, 1,000, so on. So I'm going to multiply it by 10, and I'm going to do the same thing to the number inside the house. So if I multiply both by 10, that decimal over one spot, my new problem would look like 2 divided by 32.5. All right, it's only important that I make this one on the outside a whole number. But it's equally important if I move the decimal spots on the same amount of times inside and outside. All right, so 2. All right, so now I'll just do division like I normally would. So 2 goes into 3. So 2 goes into 3 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. All right. Or 3 minus 2, bring down, okay, so I got 1. I'm going to drop down that 2. All right, 2 goes into 12. Goes into 12 6 times. Sorry, I thought I was in the wrong column for a second. All right, and then I get 0. And then now I'm going to bring down that 5. But before I do that, I'm going to make sure that decimal, I don't lose my decimal spot. So I'm going to bring that decimal right up directly above it. All right. Oh. 5, so 2 goes into 2, 5 times, 5, 2 goes into 5 2 times, so 2 times 5 is 2, there's 4. All right, so when I'm doing decimals, I don't ever want a remainder, right? Remainder is kind of what we do just to learn how to do the process of division, but you can always convert a remainder into a fraction or keep adding zeros to make it to a decimal. So I'm going to add a 0 over here and bring that 0 down. And you can have repeating decimals, and you'll learn a little bit more about that in future years. But I want to try to get that number down as possible. I mean, I want to try to get it. I want to have a complete number. So 2 goes into 40. Oh, what did I do? I messed up. Sorry, guys. Trying to talk and work at the same time. So 5 minus 4 is 1. Okay, now I bring down the 0. And 2 goes into 10 5 times, and now I am complete. All right, so 16 and 25 hundredths. Okay. All right, number 2. All right, so multiplication. So when you're multiplying decimals, it's important to line up by the number, not the decimals. When you're doing addition and subtraction, you want to line up by the decimal, but I'm going to line up by the number. Okay. That's going to make it a bit easier to put my decimal in the right spot. So 3 times 5 is 15. All right. Carry 1 over, so 3 times 0 is 0 plus the 1. All right, 3 times 2 is 6. All right, so 615. Does that make sense? Because, I mean, if I estimate, that's, 1/10 of 2 is going to be much less than 1. Or maybe not much less, but it's going to be less than 1. So the reason why that's so high is because I haven't moved my decimals over, right? So I need to see how many decimal spots I have, or how many numbers I have to the right of the decimal spot. I'm going to move it over that many times. So I have 1, 2, 3. I just counted 0, 5, and 3. So I'm going to start on the right, and I'm going to move it over 1, 2, 3. And my answer is, oh man, this is 0.61. Oh my gosh. All right, and that's my answer. All right. So number 3. So I'm guessing a lot of us probably forgot the order of operations. If you remember PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, but it depends on the order, in addition and subtraction. Once again, it depends on the order. So I have 4 plus 3 times 6 minus 2 squared. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my exponent, and I'm going to do my parentheses, but I get an exponent to the parentheses, so I got to do that first. So 4 plus 3 times 6, and then 2 squared is 4, so minus 4. All right, now I can finish the parentheses, so I have 4 plus 3 times 6 minus 4 is 2. All right, now multiplication comes before addition, so I need to multiply 3 times 2, and I get 4 plus 6, and then I can finish it up from there, equals 10. All right, number 4, simplify the following expressions, okay? So, let's see here. I have 4 plus 4 plus 2 times a plus 4, so I have 4a plus 2 times a plus 4. All right, so I need to use the distributive property to condense this this expression. All right, so remember when you do the distributive property, I'm going to multiply the number on the outside times both those values on the inside. All right, so what I get is I get 4a plus 2 times a is 2a, and then 2 times 4 is 8, so plus 8. All right, so I'm not quite finished because I have some like terms here. All right, so I have my like term in this expression or this expression is a. So I can combine that 4a and 2a, and that's going to get me 6a plus 8, and that is my answer. All right, number 5. This is very similar to what we're going to be doing this week, but instead of with equations, it's going to be inequalities. So I have 27, so I'm on number 5. 27 equals 3y. Divide both sides by 3. I need to get that y isolated. And then so I'm left, and these cross each other out. And so I'm left with 27 divided by 3 is 9. 9 equals y. Or y equals 9, same thing. All right, so number 6, write and graph the inequality of b is at most 5. Right, so what that's saying is that b cannot be higher than 5, but it can be 5. And so that's why I used a closed circle. And over here, I put a bar under it, because b has to be less than or equal to 5. And so since the symbol has a bar under it, I'm going to use a closed circle. And then since b is going to be less than 5, I'm going to shade over to the left of 5. If b was higher than 5, it would be to the right. All right, so that concludes my warm-up. Just once again, go ahead and start thinking about the activity and then review the notes from algebra, and we'll talk about it in the next video.